And we're back here in the Overwatch World Cup, heading on to the other side of the bracket. It's the United States taking on Sweden.
In Sweden, they sort of had a little bit of a rough time in the prelims yesterday. I mean, they lost some maps to Italy, which is a team that a lot of people didn't expect to be as strong as they were. Those Swedes felt like they just weren't performing up to their standard. USA sort of got finished just clapping France a little bit, unfortunately.
They got snapped. They got snapped out of existence.
They get snapped. But USA looking very, very strong. And we just finished a kind of a crazy match ourselves between Russia and Canada, which, I mean, Canada fans mauled Raxus right now. Actually mauled Raxus right now. Like, it is definitely kind of an unfortunate result for them, and I'm sure they're going to hope to come back stronger. But we're focused on USA. Sweden.
We are.
I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think if Sweden shows up with their A game today, it should be a much better game.
And we talk about history quite a bit here in the Overwatch World Cup, where the teams and how they've played. This is an all-new Sweden team. Most of the old guard, they're gone.
Already, Sinatra going in so aggressive, finding Snillo. They didn't even see him. Elliboat getting a ton of damage and going down too. And USA, they've already decisively won the first fight.
We had just swapped scenes and it was already done. Sinatra, just absolutely relentless. And that's what happens when you're the Overwatch League MVP.
That is a brutal first fight there. Sinatra taking that flank and finding Snillo. You're not going to be able to react in time unless maybe you're like a supercomputer. And I don't think Snillo, he may be a lot of things. Oh no, that was actually, it was Snillo. That may be Snillo, maybe a lot of things scary, but he's not a supercomputer.
Yeah, well, Sinatra should just remember that Snillo is probably sitting no more than about 30 feet away from him.
Fear the Snillo.
Yes.
Fear the Snillo.
So that was a quick start and even quicker pause.
Yeah, we hopped on into the game, and then we head to a quick pause as well.
It was a tactical pause by Sweden. I'm just hearing the Apex music in my ears. Wolf was very good. He brought that up to us.
I'm getting some reports to the back. It sounds like Snillo is just breaking PCs left and right, intimidating everyone around him. As we are going to hop right in
Sinatra's learned his lesson. We're going to see a new Sinatra that doesn't just punch still in the first 2 seconds.
He's going to respect Snillo now.
Well, we are back in game. The United States will pick up where they left off. Sinatra already in the back, charged up, good to go. Hits the wall instead. Leaves them some options
This
for
is a very good move from Sinatra here. He's making sure not to try to overcommit. He's playing that geometry. Corey going to find Urki because he'd use all those cooldowns too. Another aggressive engage from the United States. And Sinatra, we've been on his point of view a lot. His movement is very, very good on Doomfist. You saw he was fighting both the DPS on the flank, and he just managed to stay out of their LOS.
Yeah, I think it's all those squats he does at the end of team fights. Keeps him limber.
It does. It keeps him very limber. That is definitely true. So now Sweden lost 2 fights, 40% on that bank for the U.S. They do have, Super's about to have that Supercharger available a lot quicker than Lulsish. Eps invested the Coalescence. I imagine the Supercharger is going to come out in this fight. It's just only one ult.
That is crazy aggression. On the way in from Lulsish there. United States going to drop Supercharger, bring it the other way. And ooh, Urki over the top deals with Super and the Supercharger both at the same time. And Urki showing a little bit of flash as a Sweden should be able to retake.
And they had the Supercharger available for the U.S. Super. He invested it, but it was a little too late. It also wasn't in a great spot. He immediately gets Doomfist ulted with Meteor Strike by Urki. They weren't in a spot to really use that ult very aggressively with the Supercharger. Corey wasn't there to Death Blossom use that combo we've seen a lot. So U.S. just not on the same page with the Supercharger, I think, there, and it got taken out very quickly.
So Sweden, they strike back, but they have a long way to go. The United States got 70% very, very early. Start things out here. Plus, it's time for Sweden to begin with, but Gustav already taken down by Corey, so even as Colossus are being traded, the United States getting far more, and this is very tough for Sweden to bring back. Lulsish in danger. Lulsish going down. Same with Urki. And that is going to be it. The United States retake.
Beautiful pick from Corey there. You saw that Sweden engaged with the aggressive Supercharger. They traded out the Coalescence. But what's so important is that when Gustav is down, they don't have the speed to get around the barriers, most importantly. And then secondly, they did not have a beat to stop Space's flux there. So Space went ahead and committed it and guaranteed the fight win. So 80% available for the U.S. now.
For Sweden, I think it all comes down to the flux. If they can land a good flux, they have an opportunity, but they just need to time this properly. Because you look at the United States, they don't have a beat to deal with this. So Sweden, they open a beat of their own. Elliboat still looking for the flux, and able to find it. Meanwhile, Sinatra diving on down, misses Urki, but Super finishes him off as Corey spins to the side. Snillo does the same on the other end. It's 5-on-5 right now, and Elliboat did not get much off the flux. Corey working into the back. Sweden, though, still kind of scrapping their way into the fight. They drop the Coalescence and try and power through. Space getting pressured a bit further back, but Corey drops down out of nowhere.
Corey in the house. He won't be stopped. He's gotten 3 picks already in this fight. He's continuing. He's a monster. He's finding them. You see Rockets dropping that healing up real quick, and they've cleaned up here on the point. Corey finding those important picks throughout the fight, just being the Reaper madman. That's US taking the first round.
And one thing I think is really defining the United States right now, what an incredibly aggressive team. You're talking about a team that is channeling their inner Brad right now. I don't feel like I'm watching Team USA. I feel like I'm watching Selfless.
It is a team with a lot of aggression, and you know they have a very strong coaching staff this year. We saw that they had Arrow, they've had Harsha and Junkmonk, Harsha of the Titans and Junkmonk of the Shock.
Of the Outlaws.
Of the Outlaws. Now of the Outlaws. That's true. A lot of
keep up with the times. F5 season.
That's what happens when I'm still on print media, man. I'm still on the print media. I need to get my printing presses just aren't keeping up. I need to go to the new person phones and reading digital text. But United States now currently up 1-0 here on Oasis. Sweden using Snillo just to get that TP, trying to get a little bit faster in the mid. It is a mirror matchup once again. Corey taking a little bit longer to get off the Symmetra this time, so he's actually going to be a bit behind in this fight, but it won't be too much of a difference.
Sweden trying to match aggression with aggression, but here comes Sinatra, and there goes Sinatra. Just when you think Sinatra's like, he's got this on lockdown. No, he doesn't. Not quite.
And that was a very good fight there. Sinatra flying in and then flying out very immediately.
He took the plane in and he took the teleport to spawn out is what we actually saw.
Yeah, Sinatra unfortunately just overcommitting, getting caught there. It was a good mid from Snillo in particular. Yeah. Snillo keeping the brain. We're just laughing at Sinatra's death.
It was just epic.
Snillo keeping Sinatra in check there. Now Sweden, they've won the first fight. Be walking forward, just keep trying to take this aggression on to the US. They're going to back up. Coalescence is available. Sinatra fighting Urki.
A little bit of a better engagement from Sinatra this time. Trades out for the other Doom, ends up falling. Super though, getting good position at the point. Corey backing up, 40 HP. The heals are there. Corey looking for his counterpart. Snillo in danger. Corey versus Snillo here in the back. And Snillo quite a bit lower, has not been healed up, and Corey just charging forward.
Corey taking that duel there. Snillo getting pocketed by Epps, but the US, they need to rotate back to the point. They need to take control. Super gonna find Elivote now. Now US just played tight. Snillo dropped the Death Blossom, completely negated. I think moved away from the rest of the US.
Sinatra again dealing with Urki early on, and Corey a free road directly into Lolshish. Not much you do about that.
He almost lost that duel actually. Lolshish actually almost perma headshot him and take him down despite the lifesteal. Beautiful tracking, as they say. United States now with the reflip. They're about to have 6 ults in the bank, so a very stacked fight for the US coming in here. Sweden ideally would just like to do eco pushes. They have the control bank advantage. They want to remove ults from the US and not use too many of their own ideally.
It's only about a 1-fight advantage though, so they can't rely on it too much. Sweden moving in, already getting poked down so heavily. Corey, no mercy towards Lolshish. The United States getting a little bit poked down, but still fine space, can use the Flux. Flux used by Sweden at the same time, and I don't know why Elvote used the Flux there. I don't think it was the right opportunity.
Moth didn't even beat for that Flux. They saved the beat here, which just means that for the following fight, that even if Lolshish decides to commit the Supercharger, US are just going to beat and walk forward and roll over him. They're actually going to walk on top of him, use it as a doormat cosplay, as we've said in the past.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. Given how aggressive the United States is, you've just used Flux. Moth is going to be looking for the most aggressive of beats.
Sweden now coming back in. They do have Meteor Strike. They have Supercharger available. Very potent ults for this fight, but they're going to have to deal with this beat from Moth. I imagine it's going to come out very soon. But
Space is down! The beat wasn't in time! Moth waited far too long, and Space is Sinatra. They paid the price.
Oh, and the US, it seems unlikely they can win this fight, especially with Super going down. That late beat really biting them there in the end. Urki finding Corey in the back line. And despite the big advantage the US had, sure, they're going to get some time on the bank, but that should have been a 1 fight.
I'll give you some credit. One part of your prophecy was correct. There was a doormat cosplay. It was the United States.
So some good time burned off the clock, but a lot of ults invested. Sweden going to get the reflip now. Going to win this Coalescence so aggressively. They're chasing out Space again. Space says, please, please, let me live. And Space says, no.
No.
You're going back to spawn.
There's only room for 1 pair of toes on the server. That's Elivote's.
No, don't you start with me. Don't you start with me with the toes. Gustav, though, going to get halted. Going to get caught by Super. Some beautiful aim. We've heard he has some good aim at the NVIDIA boot camp, and apparently he has the best aim at the Team USA, is what Harsha said. It's
oh, there you go.
Statistically proven.
Snillo immediately getting knocked out of Death Blossom. Sweden trying to take this forward. Elivote in real danger. Ep's already down. Down goes Elivote, and Sweden just a little bit too far forward. And the United States still in a good spot. Not only are they going to retake, but the last fight will be decisive.
Also did not have to commit really any ults besides the Coalescence. And Coalescence, very, very cheap. A cheap ult to use to win a fight. They've equalized the control banks now, though, Sweden. So it's very close. When you look at both these teams, it's still not a bad ult bank coming up here for Sweden. But this is the fight. It's the last fight. They have to win this, or else the map's going the way of the United States.
United States, 93% overtime about to be upon us. Sweden going to open up with the Flux. Raucus gets hit with the Rock as it starts on, and Sinatra to the back! The Meteor Strike as the Flux was in progress. Far more impactful the United States are taking map 1 against Sweden.
And you can see the strategy there for the United States is that when Sweden were walking in, they realized they didn't have beat. So Sinatra went deep to the back line, Super and Moth using Boop and Halt to set up that Meteor Strike, knowing that the Flux was going to come out, and they did not have anything to mitigate it. It was a beautiful move using that aggression to just go into Sweden.
Sweden going for a little bit of delay here, hoping for some form of miracle. They've gotten more stall than expected, but it's not enough. Just, they were far too staggered.
Gustav dropping that beat, not able to keep one alive, stuck in the pit, trying to climb up. He's like, please let me up, but no. And a very aggressive squad here. Sweden putting up some good fights, but the United States using that aggression to their favor and winning the first map.
So, the United States is looking very strong, but I have to say, even Sweden in defeat, this is still a stronger Sweden team than we've seen in the last few years, and it just comes down to the fact that we have a new age of Swedish talent upon us.
Sweden has a lot of young talent coming up, and they're coming from contenders. I mean, Sharp, he's not here, but Sharp also very strong, but he's just not on the squad. But Snillo, Erky, great players. We've seen them. Snillo's been with Fusion Uni, Erky formerly with the Angry Titans. They're just a very good squad. Their support line very consistent. Their tank line as well. It's a new and improved Sweden all around, but United States looking like a new and improved United States comparatively to some former years. Maybe have a much better grasp of the meta than they did before. No meta shifts right before the World Cup begins. So it's a tough squad to bring down.
Being up against the U.S. is difficult because of all the OWL talent, but we'll see if Sweden has anything left in the tank. We'll be back after a short break. And we are back. Team USA up over Sweden after our control map. And Sweden putting up a little bit of a fight, but USA is still looking enormously powerful today.
And that's the power of aggression. And control is definitely a game mode that rewards aggression in particular. So USA coming out swinging. Sweden by no means looking like a slouch. We're going to move into our second map. It's going to be our hybrid again, because remember, we are at 3 map sets. No assault maps today at all for the group stages. It's going to be Blizzard World as our second map here in the series. Sweden looking to equalize it.
Sweden going to be rolling out, and there's our good friend Bastion has returned.
You know, Brendan Sideshow had a very fruitful discussion yesterday during the prelims about, is a Bastion sort of like a chicken or a pig, you know, where they can't like tilt its head up? Have you seen Bastion actually go fully vertical 90 degrees?
I mean, no, but I've also seen him transform into a tank.
Yeah.
I assume there's other things he can transform into.
Maybe he has very limited flexibility within his robotic spine.
I don't believe that. I feel like he can just turn into anything. Like, we're just assuming that his neck flexibility, and it's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know what the specs might be for the manufacturer there. I'm not quite sure of what the lore is with that, with the Omnics. So Sweden going to be on this defense first. They're setting up here for a bunker setup. They are running Eps on the Batiste, so a lot of pocket. They have the Immortality Field as well to keep Snillo up here, because that's their goal. US just looking for the scout.
Is it looking for the scout, though? Sinatra did start on a different hero. Now he swapped the Sombra.
They're going to use him to pressure the point here, ZB. I expect Sinatra is going to go directly to the point. They want to force Sweden to rotate off the high ground and try to contest him. He's just one person.
So we'll see if Sinatra makes his way to the point. Space is already down. And right now the United States not doing a great job of contesting the Swedish castle.
And it looked like Sinatra actually decided to not go for the cap time. He rotated to the point, but instead was looking for the hacks from behind the shield as the rest of US rotated forward through here. Sinatra once again on the point, but gonna get forced out, gonna have to translocate.
It's been tough going for Sinatra, not only getting very low damage, but of course, it means low ult building here so far. Sweden on a really nice rotation.
And that's one of the weaknesses of Sombra. Sombra used to be such a stable hero for a long time in the meta, but because of the fact that there's so many shields in front of you, the ability to eat your damage, there's not much you can do.
Erky over the top, looking for the poke. Sinatra, though, able to find Gustav as this is going on. So the United States now on the way, and yet Snillo still totally fine in the back. But the United States are starting to bleed Sweden a bit here.
However, they have a strong line right here. I mean, it's super Space and Sinatra. Look how low. Look at their health. Space finds another. Space is still finding frags. They're playing the Mega Pack. Sinatra hacked the Mega Pack. They're playing around it. They're using it as Erky just solo barrages Sinatra.
Ooh.
Oh my, that's a kind of a slap.
When you're in the middle of a barrage and a rock just comes flying at you and takes you out of the game entirely. Resurrection, though, gonna be there. Snillo still in control behind the shield. Tank is ready. Doesn't get hit by the rock. And now just waiting, pressuring. Looking for shield damage, can turn taking any time. Gustav is down. More pressure on Snillo as Corey starts doing some serious damage.
Corey still, he needs to kill the Immortality field. He doesn't kill it. He goes down to Snillo. Snillo being protected, but this should finally be the flip. Gustav constantly being found here by Team US. The Flux gonna be invested. The Supercharger, it's not over yet, actually.
The Flux up and over. Sweden still trying to fight the Supercharger. Still down. Lolshish just stuck in the corner. Getting Toaster vibes over here, but no. It's not going to be enough for him to stay alive as the United States starting to flood more onto the point, but it's not secure just yet. Raucus.
They never got Elevote.
No.
They never got Elevote. He just danced around the shield. The Supercharger was up. This is such an insanely scrappy fight. They're committing all of their ult CP.
Well, they finally drop the EMP. They get 2 off it immediately. And the EMP was just what the doctor ordered, but the problem with the EMP, it's slow. It took them a long time to build it, and it's not over yet. Erky's still poking in over the top.
Super, just to make sure, puts out the Supercharger. The point has finally been flipped, but it was a torturous offense there considering how close USA had it multiple times. Sweden trying to be the king of clutch there. Now the US going to be regrouping, going to be playing here on the cart. They have to invest a decent amount of ults there. Sinatra going back to the Doom this time, so no more Sombra on the field. Sweden going to be getting Erky onto the Mei and still onto the Reaper.
So the United States finally getting rolling after a slow start on point A. Now on the Dooms. Corey into the back, goes for Death Blossom, gets Elevote, good enough.
It's a good engage there for US. They make sure to set the halt into the Death Blossom. They just put their tank line in front, send Corey and Sinatra behind. A good pincer move from them. They've won the first fight. They've also stopped Sweden from realistically being able to hold this high ground so aggressively. And it's such a strong defensive position here on Blizzard World 2nd.
Also the Age of Pharah over for Sweden. Erky now over to the Doom. So it's going to be the Doom fight once more.
So no more Mei. Now to the Doom, a complete mirror matchup. Elevote holding on to the Flux. If they use this aggressively, especially if they can force some cooldowns, Moth does not have beat here. There is an opening to be had.
Opening with the Flux, Raucus responding with the Coalescent, Space gang low, topped right back up, and meanwhile Lolshish just burned down Super all over with the aid of Raucus. The United States just really powering on through.
The backline of the US played that very well. Not only did US in general split, they split away from the Flux, but Raucus made sure to get out of the Flux, drop the Cole, and Moth, notice, saved his heal amp. Even though he did not have beat, he had the amp, and so once you hit the ground, he popped that amp, pressed E, kept the US alive, so they could not burn through all that damage.
United States now getting some precious momentum, going the right. Oh, Erky should not have turned that corner. Hello.
US picking up momentum here through second, now making it to last. Their ult bank steadily growing larger and larger. Sweden will have the Supercharger, will have the Death Blossom probably for this following fight. It's a deadly combo, but considering that Sinatra's Meteor Strike can just commit to the back, remove that from the field immediately for Lolshish, it will still require some protection.
Sinatra in and over, beauty in motion, just assassinates Elevote in onto the back. Supercharger's been used for Sweden, but it's not enough. You can't get engaged on that decisively.
Good engage there for Sinatra, good early pickoff. And once again, like I said, they dropped the Supercharger, but Sinatra's already in the back. Sinatra realizes that I'm going to be around the shield. The shield won't matter to me if I'm already behind it, especially if I got that first pick. US steadily creeping forward. Sweden investing some ults, so they've still held on to the Death Blossom, but it's a very scary ult bank for the US.
Sinatra's down, went 11-2 aggro that time, but Corey picking up the slack. Death Blossom right at the spawn. And the United States, no fear. And that might be it. I'm not even sure if Sweden can get out in time.
Look how aggressive that Supercharger was from Super. It's literally at the spawn doors. All of the US say, go forward with Super. Super calling more than likely in his silly voice, as he is, because he's a very silly man, saying, come forward with me. I can't really do a super impression right now because it's been a long day. It's been some voice threads. I don't have the
You can't hit
necessary
the
range.
octave.
I
You
can't hit the octave. I can't go high enough.
Only Super dominates
Only
those
Super
octaves.
can hit it, but he called for that very aggressive supercharger there at the spawn doors. They all came forward. The aggression for US being a key defining factor for them here, ZP.
And it's a good omen for the United States, but this is the level of play that they're going to need to be at because it's not just Sweden that they're worrying about. You look at the rest of their group. They have a fated match with the United Kingdom, and perhaps the most anticipated match of the day a little bit later versus South Korea.
US looking very strong coming out here, but Sweden putting up a good fight. By no means out of this just yet. Definitely looking a bit stronger than they were yesterday in the prelims. What's your best super impression?
I can't.
Okay, you don't have the vocab
I can't
necessary?
even remotely bring my voice that high. It's not possible for me.
This is what happens when we're manly men, and we just don't have that sort of the necessary requirements.
The most I could do is just go for the vocab and just say, you know what, I've asked. No one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares.
Who asked?
No asked.
No
Nobody
one asked
you.
you. Nobody asked you. There are some other classic super phrases there, but
That's really the main thing. Is like, yeah, it's pretty funny. No one cares. No one asked. That actually is about 50% of super.
that really is
vocabulary.
about it's about 50% of his vocabulary. It's just streetwise talk.
You know, though, it's not Mr. DeLisi's fault.
No, it's not.
He's a good man.
He's very representative of Philadelphia, I
Yeah.
would say. He's very representative of Philadelphia. But
He's
now,
one of the few in the city that does not climb light poles when the team wins.
that is true. Well, Super doesn't have the physical capabilities to climb any light poles, sadly. United States now going to be on this defense, having a pretty successful offense. Still running this Reaper Doom. Sweden running that mirror matchup here. There's a little bit of poke between both the shields. You notice that neither one of these Sigmas want to keep their shield out too long because you want to save it for the health of the big fight.
Sinatra dives in. Sinatra dives out.
Can't explain that.
No, not at least, but Stillo can explain a shotgun to the face as Sinatra immediately falls. Kind of the start that Sweden was looking for here, though Loshish falling makes it a little bit more troublesome.
I would say Loshish going down. It's still not a bad trade for Sweden considering they got Sinatra.
But the Cole out a little bit earlier here for Raucus, leading the way. The U.S. trying to get at least one pick off before Epps goes for a Cole of his own. It's too late. Epps responding with the Cole. Sweden moving to the point. But Sinatra, he's back, and he's dealt with the elbow.
And despite that early pick on the Sinatra, because of Loshish being down, they just could never go aggressively. They don't have the halt to set up the combos there, especially for their coalescence. They're waiting for him to come back. They just couldn't get onto the point to take advantage of the fact that Sinatra is gone. Because remember, Doom is one of your key factors in terms of not only displacing the enemy team, but also getting the early pickoffs with your halt combos.
So Sweden down to about 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Still plenty of time, but the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Look at this ult bank here for the round of the team. United States coming up on the 6 ults here. A very, very healthy ult economy. Considering that Epps doesn't have the coalescence, the US could play a little slow, just build up their own coal, and then use it first. They don't want to have to invest more ults than they need to.
Sinatra is thinking of going directly over the top. Decides, maybe, waiting just a moment, charged up, looking for Elevote. Found Elevote. Meanwhile, Corey into the back line. Death Loss ready, aided by the barrier. Directly to the back of Sweden. Gustav cannot sustain. Stillo even firing back. Here comes Flux Elevote trying to turn the fight. You see Space very low, but the Cole from Raucus enough to keep Space alive. And now we're flying back the other way. The Flux in from Space. Doesn't result in any eliminations, but does force Sweden back.
And Urki going down late there, maybe could have gone out, but the fight was very over in a lot of ways due to the front line being crunched. And the US have held. They had to use all 6 ults, though, ZP, but considering that Sweden decided to commit the majority of theirs, they only have a supercharger for the following fight. If they play around this properly, if they don't play too aggressive, because we see Orysas a lot of time go far too aggressive with the superchargers. They just walk forward, place it, then shield right after. You need to put it in a spot where it's safe. Sweden can play slow, play around the supercharger, just break the shield, and then look for the DPS picks.
They can play slow, but they can't play too slow. Only a minute 20 left, and a slow fight means it could be the last fight.
Sweden approaching, looking for Sinatra. They are going to get the scout there. Sinatra going to get blocked by the shield. There's the supercharger. Good halt.
They drop the supercharger, looking for anything from that. Solstice just staring directly at Super. The Doomfist support is in, and Super so close to falling, but Sinatra, the support, Raucus with the orb, and the United States stands firm.
Actual bless RNG there for Super as Loshish had to reload. I don't think it would have turned the fight either way because the US, they had all committed forward with Sinatra. The supercharger, US recognized that supercharger's out. We can't play slow because we will lose the slow fight. We need to engage first with Sinatra, and that's exactly what they did.
The upside for Sweden, because it wasn't a slow fight, they get an extra fight, a bonus fight, if you will, but is their final attempt to try to take this map and thus the series.
US just just waiting. 30 seconds now on the clock for Sweden. They've built up a couple ult banks here. Raucus waiting to use his Coalescence, using the shit very early. He has no escape from the Doofus ult. I'm surprised Urki did not go for him there.
The Cole out early, and the Cole supporting from the back. Elevo nowhere to go. Sinatra's already taken out 2. And that was far too decisive an engage for the United States. And Sweden, they are out of time. 10 seconds left, and they're not making it to point again.
No, very unlikely.
Well, maybe they haven't.
Ellie Boat coming in,
3,
zooming in, can he touch?
2, no. The answer's no. Close though, close.
Not close, but not close enough. But remember, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
It's funny you say that because that is one of my dad's favorite sayings.
It is definitely a saying for dads.
It
is.
is.
To bust it out.
You just decided to hit us with that unprompted.
That U.S. has gone up 2-0 now. That means Sweden has officially lost this match. But for a 3-map set, Sweden is still playing for map score here because map score is important for group stages. They could still take the final map.
An easy way to remember it for those at home, it's an Overwatch League set with one less map.
That's a good way to explain it. It's a very succinct summary there from CP. I wish I could have done that. But I'm sure our producers told us that, and it's just like...
Honestly, yes. I'm not that creative. I'm not really the brains behind things. I'll just get up here and talk.
I'm sure you're the pretty face.
Yes.
You're the pretty face. I'm the pretty face, too. I'm the pretty face to your pretty face is how we describe it. But it has been a very solid series for the United States. They've been showing some dominance here. They're showing their aggression. They're also keeping the support line in particular. You know, people have criticized Raucus in the past for maybe not being as strong as Zin, but Moira, something he has a very good grasp of, I think, and he's been doing a great job of keeping the team alive, not overcommitting, keeping the fades up when necessary. Sweden just not able to find their footing in this matchup yet.
Not quite, and I fully agree. Raucus, very good saves, and we saw at the very end where Super in danger, and the Moira Orb descends from the heavens to keep him alive. And speaking of staying alive, Sweden, if they want to stay alive here in the group, the series might be over, but they can still get a map. We'll be back in just a few minutes. And we are back with USA versus Sweden. USA taking the first 2 maps and the series, but Sweden can still play for a little bit of that sweet, sweet map score.
And map score does matter. We repeat it over and over again. Despite people saying, oh, this series is over. No, map score is important in a group stages. We're going to our 3rd map. There's going to be S-Word, it's going to be Route 66, and USA looking pretty dominant so far. I think it was a lot closer on control when we look at that Blizz World. That was a pretty brutal Blizzard World, and we're paused.
It was very quick.
Very quick.
You blink and you would have missed the map entirely, as it turns out.
I honestly did not get to see much of the map.
But leaves us time to comment on Super. Very smiley in the front row.
He is. I like I like how we've turned into like, let's talk about Super.
I mean, I just feel like we have the license to rib Super a little bit. We've spent far too much time than any human being should have to spend with Super over the course of the season.
We have spent a lot of time with Super.
We had to listen to him a lot.
We did. That is definitely very true. Wall of USA looking very, I mean, comparatively, if you look at the versus them, they're a lot more smiley.
See, what people don't realize when you look at the back picture is that Corey's arms are so long, that's his arm on the right side, all the way over.
Corey actually has a pterodactyl wingspan. He literally has like a 20-foot wingspan. You hear the whooshing like a helicopter blades as he approaches by. And they're like, what's up, Corey? And he's like, bye. He's like, peace.
But we're back into it. Sweden, going to be here on the defense. United States on the attack. It looks like Corey definitely going to be shortening that wingspan a bit. Might be Bastion to open things up.
And this is a comp we've been seeing a lot here today. It's been very strong right now. I mean, Batiste, obviously, a very good hero for this sort of synergy. May, excellent as well with splitting the push, keeping a wall up to preserve your barrier health. Sweden going to set up very aggressively, using the May wall to boost themselves up, going to hold close to the spawn.
It's an aggressive hold, even by Route 66 standards, and it carries some risk for Sweden. And we haven't talked about it, but there is a swap up here. It's Rat.
Rat has come in now. No more Snillo. The U.S. going for this mirror matchup now, still looking for the approach. You see the walls being used to try to boost them above the Arista shield for both squads. Sweden getting hit with the anti by Raucus, though. Going to put a little bit of pressure on them.
Ooh, Elevo getting caught by the rock from space, and now United States. More than enough time to pressure forward. Being down the Sigma is tough. The wall in Rat's face, and Sweden just getting chipped down piece by piece. And that Bastion in pieces.
That was a good wall nade combo there from the United States. Raucus bringing out a signature Ana. Sinatra boosts them above the Orisa shield and there's chunks that in. So United States moving forward here, going to use their Maywall to put their Bastion and their double shields up onto the high ground here. It's a very strong defensive position. The U.S. stacking the cart to make sure it rolls in, guaranteed they only have to win one fight.
And you know why Snillo got swapped out? He's making preparations for the next match, visiting the team Sweden's about to play.
He's just like pumping iron in the back. He's just like visibly like, ooh, I'm ready to go.
It's the true details that we're not supposed to tell you. Wall coming out early, Sinatra looking for some pickups off that, and Rat eating a fair bit of damage gives Corey the opportunity to move over, shoot through the amplification matrix, and this is heavy pressure coming in from Corey.
U.S. though going to back up, deciding to just use their Maywall to block a lot of Zant Matrix, force the rotation out from Sweden. They're still going to be playing around the cart. Super though, going down, getting picked very quickly. It's still winnable though for the U.S.
Rat is down, but so is Corey. Sweden making their move. Getting back towards the payload, pushing the U.S. back, and Sinatra says, I'm going to commit. Decides to use the Blizzard here. It's a risky move for the U.S., but one that might pay off. Raucus, DPS Ana, supporting. They don't care about the Nano May. The United States does not give up ground.
And Sinatra, he's trying to survive. He's in the Blizzard. He's playing around the corner. Look at the geography of Sinatra. He gets the Nano. They keep him alive. It was a beautiful play from Sinatra, recognizing that the cooldowns have been used. They lost a lot of their health. All they have to do is invest the Blizzard, play around it, and then he just walls off Urki once he gets the Nano. Very good awareness from Sinatra.
So United States, quick point A offense. And now for Sweden, do you think they stay on the Bastion?
They do have that Bastion ult and they're approaching the Ant Matrix. I think it's always worth it when you have the ability to drop the Ant Matrix, or even combo the Ant Matrix and the Supercharger from Lulsish. It's just a death ray. It's actual death ray Bastion, and you just evaporate any you see before you.
We'll see if they can get the death ray in operation. The United States right now, they're already set up. Might not be a death ray, but it's terrifying.
It's soon to be Death Ray versus Death Ray, because it's going to be an evil scientist fight, because Moth close to that Ant Matrix. Super going to invest in Supercharger now. The wall from Urki trying to boost him above the shield, and will do that, but no real angle for Sweden to punish Corey.
In these Bastion v Bastion fights, the team that gets to set up first, working at a big advantage. Sweden, they have to take a risk at some point here. They go forward, and ooh, Rat gets caught mid-rotation. Super able to finish it off, and the United States just leveraging this high ground so much against Sweden.
Wait, Gustav was an actual mad lad there. ZP, did you see Gustav just engage his like ultra boost and just woo, and just fly right on up into the Bastion ult? I was like, Gustav, you're not gonna win that 1v1. Well, you're not gonna win that one.
Sometimes you get a new pair of shoes, you want to try them out.
So now US having a much better fighter than engaged.
Wait, what?
Ellieboat, they're deciding they want to commit. Ellieboat gets immediately rocked, cleaned up. They're just walking out to stagger. They're just trying to take time off the clock. They're just trying to take time off the clock, but they're going to feed a lot of ult charge, CP.
You fed this much ult for how much time? Questionable from Sweden. I'm a little bit disappointed.
The U.S. now moving forward. They've taken second. They're going to go towards these platforms where they're going to try to take this high ground in particular. They want to deny that top, but Super! Oh no, Super falls off. They have to wait for the rotation again. It could cost them maybe, but I don't think Sweden's in any position to really do it, but they're going to go for this flux early.
Super's too much of a zoomer. Didn't play his Mario games. Doesn't know his basic platforming is what we found out there, but he gets another attempt as the United States sitting up on the high ground. Rock is stuck pushing the payload in the back, and Quarry eating a lot of damage, but healed back up, jumps on over, turret mode, here we go, focus fire into Rat, and the immortality field, Rat's still in it, able to rotate around, Corey slept in on the payload, but Space right in there with this flux.
That, we have to take a moment to highlight how good Space just played that.
Yeah.
So, US were on the high ground, waiting for Super to re-rotate, the flux gets used for Ellieboat to try to force them off. Corey drops down to the cart, Sinatra boosts up the Bastion in Space, puts the shield exactly where it's necessary, the barrier, and commits the flux so the rest of US can come forward and clean up that damage. Very well played from Space.
Final Blizzard in here from Sweden, but it came at a dear cost. May and Lucia already down. It's a 6-on-4 in the United States. It might be a little bit cold, but they're not cold enough to leave the point. Corey just dominating Sweden as they try and roll over and delay, and that is it.
That is a fast Route 66. They found, I'm looking at my GPS, they found the fastest route.
Yeah.
They found a very quick route there because that is a very quick time.
They broke a few laws on the way there. Ran a few red lights,
They checked their ways. They checked their ways. A little under 3 minutes remaining for the U.S. And Sweden just not able to effectively mount a defense, especially from second onward. And second is generally considered one of the stronger points, especially if you can just hold once. Just hold one set there, you're set up for a very long time.
I mean, I really think the problem that they kept running into is that, okay, you're Team Sweden, and you're running Bastion versus the United States. Once they lost the first fight, the United States always had better positioning in the Bastion wars, and I feel like there comes a point where maybe don't Bastion be Bastion anymore. Maybe swap over to Reaper Doom.
So now Sweden going to be on this offense, and the U.S. swapping to the defense. They want to be able to take this map, because obviously they have lost the series, but we're playing for map score here in the group stages. And they're going to need all the maps they can get if they want to advance out.
So Sweden, we'll see what they have here on this attack, but it is a long way to go because not only do they need to finish out the round here, but you look at the time bank the United States has, I think Sweden needs at least a minute and a half to make it competitive.
There always are miracle pushes available, but that is definitely ideal. You don't want to be really less than half the total time allotted compared to the other team. That is a huge disadvantage to be in. For the U.S., they're putting Corey on the Widow. Corey bringing out the Widow here for the defense. We've seen a lot of Widow in the past on Route 66, but it's been a while since we've seen it in this particular meta. And Corey says, I want to try it out. I want to watch the spawn. And
Corey was one of the very scary Widows in the Overwatch League in the last season. A boon to the Justice late in the season, once the meta permitted playing more Widow. And we'll see how Sweden plays around with Sweden. I don't know about opening up in the far versus Corey Widow. I kind of feel like they should swap.
I think the U.S. has already, Corey going to fall off from that accretion, that halt accretion that comes out from the U.S. Lul's just going down, though he's going to get res. But U.S. must have been expecting a Pharah play, and particularly if they're going to run this hit together, if they're going to run Corey on the Widow.
They had the intel. The intel was in favor of the United States. It might have been played yesterday for Sweden, but I don't think it's wise for Erky to stay on the far here. Not versus Corey.
Corey finding one. Corey getting a headshot. Corey doing a lot of damage right here. Gonna get taken out by Rat though. So it is cleaned up, but look at the U.S. position right now. They move forward. They put Sinatra very aggressively. They have an Ant Matrix, but he is down. The U.S. probably is going to die in cart now.
United States is going to die in cart, and Rat was really able to carry Sweden, dealt with the Corey threat, and did so much more right after. Solid Hanzo play, and the United States will have to give some ground to Space. Didn't get the memo of the retreat, just kind of stayed in.
And Sinatra going to the Tracer. Sinatra now moving to the Tracer. I think that's the right move. It's Widow, it's Xin, Mercy. Something we haven't seen in a while, but a very squishy backline. Corey can keep Rat and Erky in check as long as he's hitting those shots, and then Sinatra can pressure the backline as well.
Corey opening up here at the infra site. All is open to Corey. He'll have the best opportunity to plan his shot. Erky, meanwhile, knows it and is hiding behind the sign, and did not hide for long enough. Corey, he was off the sign for one moment, and Corey got him.
Sinatra getting accretion, getting picked up there. even though Erky's down, Rat finding 2. This is very good for Sweden. They're taking a very quick offense here on first.
Despite the early Corey pickoff, Rat has been the X factor. Sweden off the power of Hanzo, starting to mount a very, very good push.
And they're making the Hanzo Pharaoh work. They're getting the pressure they need, and most importantly, they're getting around the shield CP. They're comboing the Dragon Strike with Lucius's halt. They're working to their advantages. Rather, you don't want to play Shield War when you're playing versus something like the double shield and you're playing that Pharaoh Hanzo. It's much more effective to just move around them.
So the United States swap ups from the DPS. Corey over to the Reaper, Sinatra onto May, and Erky says, you know what, this is fine. More room for his Pharah.
The U.S. in particular space, they need to watch for Erky. Erky now, they're going to have the halt, they're going to have the barrage. They won't find anything.
Barrage, unfortunate timing, Super finishes him off. And here comes the United States moving in. The Flux used early, and Corey just there on the follow through. Good control coming from the United States, and they're going to get to use the Mei right at this very key choke point.
And that was a super aggressive rev coming out from Gustav. I mean, the Transcendence being forced by the space from Flux, and Gustav actually goes all the way to the opposing high ground, goes a little too deep and gets picked there at the end. Well played from the U.S. though. They split. They denied all the value from Erky's barrage. They're forcing Sweden to have to re-enter here and swap. And they're going to have the ult ad because they're just going to be mirroring minus the Ana with Rockets on the Ana. There's a much bigger ult advantage here for the U.S.
And I think the swap to Mei here is important, given the fact that the United States could have played far too aggro at the choke point without a wall to counter the wall. But now the Supercharger used by Super in the United States, they get in Sweden's face again. Corey, though, goes a little bit too deep, pays the price. Supercharger still giving the U.S. a bit of a poke advantage here, and Sweden might be waiting out a bit. And Sinatra invests the Blizzard. Even more investment in from the United States. Sinatra gives up his life for it, and it's enough to win the fight, but it's a costly fight.
But they are so far ahead in that ult game that it's really fine for them. They're getting some more staggers here. They're chasing the spawn after that aggressive play here from the U.S. on the choke. Because look at Erky's Blizzard ult. 18%, 19%, going to be like 20. Sinatra not even staying on the main anymore. He's swapping the Doomfist. They're going to hold spawn.
Ooh.
They're holding spawn here for the U.S. They said, let's swap because we can just hold here at the spawn doors themselves.
And we are seeing something you don't really want to see too much. A team this aggressive, and Sweden, we'll see how they deal with it. They don't go for a shorter path. They go all the way around. They're going to use the Flux. The United States answering with the beat immediately. So not much going to happen off that. And Sweden under so much pressure. The Bionade in the back. Erky cannot be healed. Raka seals his doom. Death Blossom towards Corey, over and in. Down goes Lucius, and Sweden, they're caught.
The doors have been slammed. The doors have been slammed on Sweden. U.S. holding very aggressively, not giving them any space to work with. Sweden right now, they're taking these fights at the doors when realistically their best chance is to maybe get some pressure on the cart, but the U.S. isn't letting them get that pressure at all. They're forcing them to take the long rotations.
And a boost in from Raucus, setting the tone. Sweden over and in. Raucus had a big bound and started out. Elephone, nowhere to go. Sinatra, the easiest cleanup in the world.
Sinatra getting 4 in that fight. Corey finding the other 2. And the U.S. are just sitting here at these doors, not letting them out at all. The foot is on the throat.
The foot is on the throat, and it has been depressed about as far as it can go. This is brutal.
Erky still has not built up the mail just yet. Sinatra, though.
That was a nice boop. But Sinatra goes immediately to the sky, drops back on in. Super's giving up his life. But Sweden is really pummeled here. Sinatra getting so much value. Everyone in Sweden in his path.
And the problem with this Mei right now is that Sweden have just now built their Blizzard after losing fight after fight at the door. They weren't using the Mei walls to really stop any of the aggression. They weren't actually able to get up onto the boost, onto the high ground. And Sinatra every time is able to leave and come back, re-engage on this absolute mass of Swedish players, getting so much damage while the U.S. control the high ground. They did have to back up now, though.
Sweden down to their final minute, and they have a long, long way to go. And that Blizzard used very early in the fight. Super able to stay on the outskirts. They're using Colossus to try and finish things off, but Lucius falls. He can't pivot in time to save Lucius. United States, they just rotate around Sweden. It's fantastic movement from the USA.
Another fight won here for the U.S. having really not having to use too many ults at all. 30 seconds left on the clock, 1 fight left for Sweden. They're only going to have the Flux, maybe the beat if they get it in time, but look at the ult bank for the U.S. They're going to Flux aggressively. They're going to beat aggressively. The U.S. are going to go all out. They're back at the door.
They're back at the spawn. Here we go again. Raucus with the sleep, waiting for the Bionade. Corey with 3. Absolute devastation. And Sweden, your pain is over. The push is done. The United States sweep you 3-0.
US of A moving forward here. Sweden getting absolutely swept, especially on Route 66. It was just a demolishing
That was a robo broom right there. That was mechanical house cleaner upgraded.
And the United States looking like a force to be reckoned with here. Sweden, I thought they were going to be a very strong team in the World Cup. Them losing the U.S. does not make them a bad team at all. They're just a very, very strong team with the United States. Sweden probably going to have to readjust as they move forward the group stages if they want to make their way out. That's a 3-0 result for the U.S., so U.S. fans, they can be happy with that.
And really for Sweden, don't forget, they only have to be top 3 in the group. So they should be setting their sights on some of the other teams here where even if you don't beat the U.S. and South Korea, there are other avenues to survive to tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the goal, and once again, like you said, there are other avenues. You don't have to beat every top Billboard team, some of the teams that everyone's expecting to go very far. You just need to beat better than teams. It's like the bear analogy, right? You just have to be faster than the next lowest person before the bear grabs you. And that's sort of what Sweden's looking to be right now, and then hopefully make some improvements on to Saturday.
Well, we'll see if Sweden is able to kick things up a notch. But for now, we are taking a break. We'll be back soon.